Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
'Cause I wanna dance with you anyway. We know how.
Well, the first song, I almost lost it, and the bag operates similarly. I have scraps of paper, I have journals.
'Cause I know this feeling can make a woman reset.
I really am still trying to experiment and find my voice.
In a year or a decade.
And it's so groovy, and it gets me just in the dancing mood, and I like where my voice sits in the song. And
Can't be not so trying to.
I'm Sarah Fensky. Kara Yannon is only 25 years old, but she's already been writing songs for more than a decade. Now this talented St. Louis-based singer-songwriter is getting ready to release her first album under the moniker Yannon. The album is called Cohesion, and here's the title track. That is Cohesion from the singer-songwriter Yannon. And joining us today is Kara Yannon. So Kara, welcome.
hi, thanks for having me.
So it's such a beautiful song. And,
thank you.
and you've said this whole album is kind of a classic 2021 album. I imagine that means it evolved out of 2020 and the pandemic.
Yes, definitely, yes.
Was that a weird time for you, that not being able to be out there performing, being stuck at home?
Actually, I didn't do a lot of performing prior, so having this time to write and reflect and find my voice in these songs, it was actually really, really nice and comforting. So
this period was kind of a blessing for you in a way.
A little bit, yeah. As weird as that is to say, yeah.
It's interesting. I've thought this whole time, the worst possible age to be as all this has been going on would be in your early 20s, because that's when you have all this energy and you want to be out there in the world. Was it good to just have an excuse to, no, I'm not going to be out there in the world. I'm going to write songs.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm a little bit of an introvert in that way too, and so, yeah, it was really nice.
So you've been writing songs for a long time. You're originally from Springfield, Missouri.
Yes, that's correct.
So what first got you into music?
Oh man, I just remember from an early age I was always in choir. Growing up, I loved hearing all of those harmonies fit together in those ways. I remember, little bits and parts of my childhood was just I'm only listening to this song and this toy. And so I've always kind of written music, and I've always loved it.
How did you go from, listening to music and singing music in a choir to being able to write songs? That seems like a hugely different skill.
Yeah, I remember there was a couple of really sad country songs I liked to listen to when I was younger, and they just told stories that somehow I resonated with. I 8.
You're 8 years old?
8 years old, and hearing Whiskey Lullaby with Alison Krauss, and I loved the stories that they told. And I remember I just sat down and I wrote out this really long story, and it was sad, and I was okay. I went to my older sister and I was I have to show you this song. This is I'm so proud of this song. And it was the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Sad, not in the sad that you were intending.
Yeah. But that's how it started, just hearing things I resonated with and trying it out myself. And
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to a song I want to talk about today. And this song is called North Pond. And, I'm interested in where your ideas come from. And this seems like one that this had a very specific inspiration. Tell us about this song.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I actually heard this story about Christopher Knight, the North Pond hermit, on St. Louis Public Radio.
So we kind of inspired the song.
Yeah. On Snap Judgment a couple years ago. And it was just about this young guy who went out into the Maine wilderness and just did not talk to anybody and just decided to leave society for like 20 plus years. And it was crazy. Like the interviews afterwards, he just doesn't know how to explain it. And he's just like, yeah, I just kind of felt like it. And I found a lot of inspiration in what I heard from that, and bits and pieces of writing about it and melodies I thought of kind of came together into this song about him and what he experienced. So
I want to play a bit of your song about the North Pond hermit. This is this guy, Christopher Knight, and this song is called North Pond.
He wants only sensation, 'cause it's all just a face. Nothing at all but the unvarnished truth. Time is a feeling, season, suns and moons. When the mushroom grew, he sat and stewed with the lady of the wood. She said, "Are you coming?" And he understood.
And that is the song North Pond from the St. Louis singer-songwriter Yannon. My guest today is Kara Yannon, who is the woman behind the name. And what a beautiful song.
oh, thank you.
And I can't help but wonder, so is this a song you wrote during the time of isolation in the pandemic?
Yes.
It's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
did you feel kind of that connection to this guy who went off into the woods and didn't talk to anybody?
Absolutely. Yes. Great way to put it, actually. I actually had the melody written before. It was another song before. And then I have a bag of paper that I have lyrics in.
Like a literal bag?
Like a literal plastic bag full of journals and some paper that I started writing out some of the lyrics to this song, to North Pond, about Christopher Knight. And then I was like, you know what? That melody would fit really well with that. So it was during this time where I was really needing to write that song, and it felt right. So yeah.
So I'm interested in this bag of lyrics. You're sort of putting snippets in there that you might use in something else later?
Yeah, it's before I started, I use my notes app too. I use my notes app to be when I think of a lyric or something comes up, I write it down, and the bag operates similarly. I have scraps of paper. I have journals that I carry around with me, and I write out chords and lyrics and maybe a verse or two and stick it back in the bag. And
And is it sort of one song in the bag at a time, or a whole bunch of ideas are marinating?
Whole bunch of ideas, just kind of, the stream of consciousness songwriting, where you just put something down and put the puzzle pieces together later.
So you have a line in there where he's kind of watching mushrooms grow.
Yeah.
Is that something that's drawn, from something you read about his life?
Yeah, actually, he, I forgot if it was an interview or the book, but he noted he would just watch this mushroom grow, as a form of entertainment. This one mushroom kept coming back every single year, and he would just, watch it.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was profound, just watching this singular mushroom in a world where we're watching like 20 things at once, it was so nice to hear somebody just like focusing on one thing. It was nice.
Yeah, that's a wonderful image. And I can see how that story would have seeped into your consciousness and that you find a song there. Is it usually that literal, or are you more drawing from this grab bag that you've got going on?
Oh, man. It always depends, definitely.
Every song is different.
Every song is different. I tend to lean more literal. I think that's just how my brain works. But it comes from many places.
And I understand this song came together super fast.
Yeah. This is one of those songs that that I just I felt it, and it felt right, and each verse came very quickly, and
when you say very quickly, is it true this was all in like one day?
One day, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not always that fast.
It's really not always that fast. This song and Cohesion both came very, very easy, and it usually is kind of an experiment and a hodgepodge whenever I'm writing, because it's like I really am still trying to experiment and find my voice. And with these, it was just so nice. And I think it is because it's just like that sad, emotional stuff I'm used to and I like.
Yeah.
So.
And you knew, though, you didn't second guess that. Like, this song came to you easy, but you knew when it was done.
Yeah.
I want to play another song from Cohesion, and then we'll talk about this one. This one is called Know You.
Maybe it was poison, maybe magic. Tried to reveal it, only got static. Baby, always sweeter than a Sunday. We made it easy, like waking up too late. But I can't be not so trying to find time alone with you. But no, baby, it's just so good to know you. Just so good to know you. That's all I need. All I need. Oh, and I don't know the steps, but honey, that's all good for now. 'Cause I wanna dance with you anyway. We know how.
And that is Know You. That's from the new album Cohesion, which comes out October 3rd. There's going to be a release party at Off-Broadway. It comes from the singer-songwriter Yannon. My guest today is Kara Yannon. So you've said this is your favorite song to sing.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Oh my gosh. Just because I play the piano with this song, and it's so groovy, and it gets me just in the dancing mood, and I like where my voice sits in the song, and it's just an upbeat, nice song to sing.
Do you have different favorites as a writer versus then as a singer and performer?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. As a writer, I definitely tend to lean more towards like the slower ones, like the more ballad ones. But as a performer, it's just always fun to connect with an audience in a way where you like see them like bopping their heads and like dancing, and yeah.
That's maybe better than making them cry.
Well,
maybe not better, just different, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So we want to mention you have a concert coming up. This is at the Lot on the Landing on September 24th. This is a space that's down in Laclede's Landing, like right down there on the riverfront. This sounds like an amazing space to see a show, and this sounds like this is going to be a great performance. What can audience members expect from you at that date?
Yeah, so I will be playing 6 of the songs from the album, and I'll have a band for the first time, so that's super exciting.
Are you ready for that?
I am so ready for that. It's been so awesome to just have other people with me to play my music. It's a treat. It really is. So
it hasn't been a challenge to learn how to perform with all of this other stuff going on?
Oh, well, it's definitely been a challenge too, but I mean, a joyous challenge for sure. Yeah, because I know it'll all come together and it'll be good.
So we should mention you recently got to perform at the pageant, which is just a huge deal for any local artist. How was that?
I almost cried. It was so good. It was just so fun. Like, well, the first song, I like almost lost it and I was shaking. And but then I It was so fun. I don't know.
And that was
words.
just you? You didn't have a band behind you for that?
Oh, it wasn't actually me. I was with Choir Vandals, local St. Louis.
Oh, okay. So,
band.
we've had them on the show. Yeah.
I was playing keyboard and backup vocals for them. So
if the crying
honored.
and shaking had happened, they would have still been able to keep playing.
Hopefully. Yeah. So that was so fun. Such an honor to perform on that stage. Yeah.
So that's exciting. And it's exciting coming up that you're going to be there with the band. This is going to be at the Lot on the Landing. Again, that's Friday, September 24th. Details on our website, stlpr.org. And you're about to release this album, Cohesion. This is coming out early October. Mm-hmm. If people want more information about that and to make sure they're on top of that release, where should we send them?
Yeah, definitely go to my website, yannonmusic.com. There's a lot of information on the album there and the events and a pre-save link.
Okay. That's great. Well, you've got a lot going on right now. And man, this music is so beautiful. It kind of takes my breath away. So, Kara Yannon, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And let's go out of the show with one more song from Cohesion. This is Robin by Yannon.
Just be a little bit in love like you, counting the days like we might never.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Does it take two to feel it, to be so in line, to feel it, to be so alive?
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.